everyone, and welcome back to Redefine Radio. Today, I have a really special episode for you guys. I know I say that every single episode, but that is only because everyone that I interview, I feel like they have a really dynamic story and they have so much value that they can offer people. And this episode is no different. So, I'm introducing you guys to Miss Shaniqua McNeil, also
Hey,
known
yeah.
as Sunshine for those of you that know her by Sunshine. She is a dynamic healthcare and wellness professional that is dedicated to uplifting others through a holistic approach to healing and empowerment. With a background as a registered nurse, applications analyst, and a director of charitable engagement and community relations, she seamlessly bridges the worlds of clinical care, technology, and community impact. She's the founder of Doche, and she has created a transformative space for women's empowerment, offering experiences that nurture the mind, the body, and the soul. She's also a certified yoga instructor, a reflexology and body sculpting specialist. I have done body sculpting with her, so I can testify. She knows what she's doing. And she is the owner of Be the Joy Candle Company, a brand dedicated to spreading positivity through handcrafted, intentional creations. She has a passion for wellness that extends beyond traditional healthcare, incorporating movement, mindfulness, and self-care into every aspect of her work. Whether she's guiding individuals through yoga, leading charitable initiatives, or providing holistic treatments, she is committed to helping others feel balanced, empowered, and radiant. So I feel like this is a great episode to have, especially considering everything that's going on in the world right now, everything that's going on in the country right now. I do think that it's really important for us to be thinking about our overall wellness outside of just going to the doctor, but what are we doing for self-care? What are we doing for our mind and our mental to keep ourselves in a really good mental space? So I'm excited to be sharing the space with Sunshine.
Yes. Yes, thank you for having me, Dan.
Yes. So we actually know each other through a mutual connection. We have the same best friend. And we all went to school in Tallahassee together. These are two Rattler girls talking to each other, and really just sharing space and talking about the journey of wellness. The first question I want to ask you is, obviously, past all of your accolades and everything that you're doing in the community, you have a story of how you even got into this space. So let us know where you're from and how did you end up finding a passion for health and wellness?
So I am originally from Orlando, Florida. I was born in a smaller city in Florida, named Cocoa, Florida, which is, if you know about NASA Space Center, closer to there. But from Orlando, Florida. And how I got into health and wellness. So my mother is a nurse. So always wanted to be a nurse since I was smaller. Um, so that's how I got into health. Wellness came about just growing up a Black woman, particularly when I got to FAMU. Actually, I learned a lot more from our pre-nursing courses and other activities they had us do, preparing us for nursing. The school had a lot of activities as well, like during homecoming or certain weeks. So that's really like where the root of wellness came from, like really learning about self-care, being a Black woman, and just health in general. So I could say that's where the root of health and wellness came from for me.
I know for me, when I went to college, I was just kind of floating, trying to figure out what is it that I'm going to do. And there, I feel like are very few people that go into that experience knowing like, yes, this is where I'm passionate. This is what I'm dedicating my time to. And nursing is no small feat. So was there something about what you saw your mom doing growing up that made you realize, yes, I absolutely want to do what I see her doing?
So yes, there were actually two things. And then let me not backtrack, but let me clarify. So it's like two divisions of younger. Initially, I started off, I wanted to be a teacher. And then my mom was a single parent. So it was, if you come from a single parent home, sometimes you got to go to work with mom in the morning. Sometimes mom has to leave work to come get you from school, and you have to go sit with her and do homework until she finishes her shift. So just seeing the hard work and dedication from my mom, like I always was a very observant child. So just seeing that from a young age, her hard work, her dedication, being a single parent, never honestly never really missed out on anything. And if she did, she didn't allow her kids to feel it. So that hard work, that dedication, that's the first piece. I was like, you know what? I think I want to become a nurse. Secondly, my youngest brother was premature. So I was in middle school at the time in Orlando, and that being a caregiver, like at a young age, like helping mom, being there with my brother, I don't think parents really think about that. Like the siblings are we're caregivers as well, helping mom. So having to be in the hospital, having to go to the hospital again after school, see the nurses. At that time, I saw people outside of family, nurses caring for my family. At first, it was mom, and I'm like, you know what? They really care about my little brother. Like, with premature babies, you hear the odds. But it was just like to see, like, my brother came home. My brother came home, early because these nurses and these doctors, the care they provided, because they did give a long range, like he's gonna be here till, XYZ, however many weeks, and he actually came home sooner. So really that was like I'm gonna be a nurse. Like growing up, saw mom, but then having to be there for my little brother. Being premature, that really iced the cake for me. I went to FAM knowing what I wanted to major in. Yeah.
So I know that you mentioned that you used to have to go to work with your mom sometimes.
Mhm.
Was she
Yeah.
working at the hospital at the time, or was she working in another facility?
So no, back then, especially for single, it was easier for single moms to work at like long-term care facilities, LTAC, skilled nursing, SNFs. So she was and those shifts are 8 hours versus 12. So those are easier shifts for people with children, mothers, dads with children. So yeah, she was at a almost like a nursing home.
When you got into nursing school, did you know what type of nursing that you wanted to do? Because I know sometimes people get into the field and then they have to explore to kind of find, okay, I want to do, I want to work in labor delivery. I want to work in the emergency room. Maybe I want to work more in like long-term care facilities. Did you have an idea of where you wanted to land with nursing?
I did, and then I credit that too to having that exposure and experience during my little brother's birth. I went to school knowing that I wanted to be a labor and delivery nurse. Did I ever work labor and delivery? No, but and we can talk about that later. But yes, I did know the specialty that I was interested in going into nursing, and I was dedicated to even our at the penance ceremony. I walked across the stage saying like I look forward to being a labor and delivery nurse. So yes, I did.
So then let's touch on that. How did we, because you've been a nurse for
Since 2012. So what's that? I'm going on 15.
13
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah. So you have
I'm nearing my 15 years. Yes, so I'm gonna round up.
listen,
Yes,
you have
yes.
earned your
Long
stripes.
time.
So yeah,
I
how did you end up doing everything but labor and delivery?
So FAMU nursing instructors, they were really good with making sure that we were well-rounded nurses. A lot of us did come in knowing what we wanted to do or thinking we knew what we wanted to do, but they never pushed us or pigeonholed us into one specialty. It was like, to be the best nurse, and that's why every FAMU nurse school of nursing graduate is the best nurse. They make sure that we are well rounded and that we have a good foundation in medical surgical nursing, which is basically like a general nursing. You learn about women, men, children, like you is just the foundation. Going through school and keeping that in mind, I did not want to, coming out of school, pigeonhole myself into labor and delivery. It is a hard specialty to get into because they do expect you to be experienced, right? But how do you do that when I just graduated a month ago? Like
Yeah.
what we saying? So I didn't want to pigeonhole myself, but also too, when I was a nursing instructor, I carried what I learned from FAM to my students is I know you want to be an ER nurse. I know you want to do aesthetics, but make sure that you get the foundation because that is how I've been able to work everything in nursing. Like a lot of people ask me now, like, how did I get into tech? And it's really just been my resume. My resume speaks for itself. Like, I did not pigeonhole myself into one crater and have to try to crawl up out of it. It was literally, I became the universe and everything came to me because I made sure that my foundation was stable. I made sure that I had a good, firm, steady foundation. So that's why I didn't get into L&D. And then two, I started to like the excitement of different things. Like L&D, it can kind of get mundane. Like, okay, mom's here to live, and there are one, not, I don't want to say one-offs, but there are other things that happen in L&D. Sometimes I was able to see pregnant moms and then have to transfer them to L&D. You get to see a lot. You get to see a lot with med surge. So that's why I did not go that route, because I wanted to make sure that I was a more marketable nurse, because I knew that that wasn't going to be my end all be all with L&D.
So, as I stated before, this is someone who has earned her stripes. I want to kind of touch on probably what was a very difficult period of time for medical professionals just in general, which was COVID. And you were traveling, doing traveling nursing, probably going to some of the hottest spots. Everywhere was a hot spot during COVID, to be honest, because we did not handle the pandemic very well at all from a medical standpoint. But you were probably going to some of the places that had the highest rates of infection, probably the most serious types of infections of COVID, where people were dying. Talk to us about that experience and how that shaped you as a nurse, but also someone who's in overall wellness.
Okay, yes. So I want to start by saying, having that general experience, going back to med surge, like I will drill this in any new nurse's head. Get that med surge. Because that's how I was able to sustain during COVID. That's how I was able to be a med surge nurse and, be able to work ER, be able to work other specialties. But yes, it was a very difficult time. It was a humbling experience as well. And one thing that I can say is just going back to wellness. I saw some of the sickest patients. I saw patients that have never been sick in their life. And, this was like the first sickness and the worst sickness. And then unfortunately on the steeper end of the spectrum, I saw the deaths. On the brighter side of the spectrum, I saw people leave ICU that were on ventilators, that were given a time where we were expecting, I've done the CPR, fully gowned down, mask everything, and seen people die on the table, continue CPR in their back, and then seen them leave, be able to go to a rehab or something. So wellness, going back to the wellness part. If one thing I could say to anyone listening to this podcast is value your health, value your body, value what you put in it, and not just food, not just drink. Value what you inhale, value what you listen to, value who you're around, because all of that is a part of your wellness. When we think about health, a lot of people just think like, oh, I eat good, but what is eating good? Is it your portions? Is it, what you're taking in? And now, like you spoke about what's going on in the world now, as far as up there in that house. We just found, well, some of us knew, but some of us didn't, about the red dye.
Yeah.
Are you really labeling the nutrition labels? That is important. If there is an item with, first, I always say, if there is an item that is four words long or 20 letters long, or the list takes up half of the chip package, like, you don't know what you're putting in your body. And 9.5 times out of 10 is not good if the list has to be that long. So just knowing your nutrition labels. And I say that to say, in relation to COVID, is a lot of people thought they were doing what they needed to do, but just didn't know what they could have been doing better. And do your own research. Don't take it for what the Shade Room post or Spiritual Word or whoever else y'all use as y'all news outlet. Up here in Atlanta, ATL Scoops. Like, do your research. The Google Scholar, you can actually access the research articles. Follow a physician. Follow your politicians. When I say follow your politicians, follow them because they may be giving you access or information that we may not know as civilians, as citizens. But you take that and you do your own research. Also, too, I want to add, for your immediate family, your mom, your father, your close siblings, your partner, know their health too. Because there was a lot of times families were unaware that dad, had visits about his prostate, but dad didn't share the results, or mom, had diabetes, but they didn't know, or just those are important questions to ask. And not that make sure that you let whoever you're asking know that I'm not trying to get in your business, it's because I care.
Yeah.
So if something happens, I have the information to tell the provider in case you can't speak for yourself.
Yeah.
Getting a little deeper, I'm sorry, because I am on the line with an attorney. Your wills, your POA, those are things that you need, even in your 20s. Those listening in your 20s, it's something to look into now. You may not have assets right now, but your car, you got a car note. If something happened, that somebody, so think about those things as well.
Yeah. I mean, you spoke a word because as I've gotten older, my dad is a baby boomer. He's in his 70s now. But that whole so you have this health problem and you didn't say anything, that is so real because old people keep stuff from you. And I don't
Yeah,
understand why. Because
yeah,
when you're gone, we the ones that have to clean up everything. So yeah,
right.
I don't
Yeah,
want to be surprised if something happens and it's like, okay, well, you have an issue with your prostate and you weren't gonna say nothing.
yeah, yeah,
Um, or you're on all these different types of medications and we don't know. But yeah, even back to your point of making sure that you have your documents in order. Um, it's more than just the will, it's your power of attorney. Should
hmm,
you unfortunately end up in a situation where you're in the hospital and you cannot make medical decisions for yourself, the person who might have the legal rights to, you may not want them to be the person that gets to decide whether you're resuscitated or you're not, whether you kept on life support or you're not. Those are things to think about. And when death comes knocking, it's not asking how old are you.
no,
Death coming for everybody.
yeah, yeah,
And you just don't know when. So I want to kind of continue to be a little spicy just because, as someone who is not in the medical field, right now where we're at is very concerning. Where, we have government entities that are supposed to be giving us this type of health information being barred from doing so. We have a possible epidemic, of avian flu that is spreading, and it's not just in birds anymore. It's, going into other species of animals. As someone who has worked in the medical field and now you're merging all of that medical know-how into holistic wellness, how do you feel about where we're at, where so much pertinent health information that the public should be given is being withheld? What do you think could be the impact of that for us?
It definitely saddens me working COVID and being in leadership positions at hospitals hospitals and facilities, the makeshift hospitals they had. You were exposed to a lot. Some conversations that had to be had that I probably didn't want to be a part of, some information that in my outside of the scrubs and the stethoscope, I probably wouldn't have wanted to hear, but I'm in a position to care for others. So saying that to say the fact that things are being barred from being shared, the fact that they are trying to take away funding for, and I'm speaking in lay terms because I only listen so much. I have to listen in doses, but
Mm-hmm.
taking funding away, it's scary. It's scary because especially during, I mean, even before COVID, like people just did not have the access that they needed for the care that they needed. And depending on what facility you were at, and also depending on your provider, people don't care as much. A lot of people are just there for the money. Like
Yeah.
it's a paycheck. I'm gonna work these hours, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna go, but I'm not doing anymore. So it's very scary where we are now. If I was to challenge the listeners to do anything right now, is to, as my grandma used to say, make sure you have your affairs in order. Like, make sure that you know about your health. Make sure that you're starting to eat healthier. Like, I just can't stress enough, like, what you are exposing your body to, not just food, but as simple as now, there was a video. The lady had a speaker and she put two AirPods on each side, and just the feedback that you could hear from the waves, the radio waves from the two AirPods, like essentially the speaker was our brain.
Mm.
So walking around with an AirPod in your ear all day, like, yes, it's convenient because you can say answer the phone or click it to, but it's not good. It's not good. Looking at a computer screen all day or your phone screen all day, it's not good for your vision. It's also not good for your brain. The quick foods that we want to eat, I love Trevante Johnson, Trader Joe's, but a lot of those frozen foods that we love because they're quick and it tastes good are not good. Frozen
Mhm.
foods aren't good because of the preservatives in them. Like your your broccoli or your whatever meats we like from there, it's not supposed to be able to sit in a refrigerator for months. Like you're supposed to be able to get it fresh, cook it, eat it, or if you don't eat it, it's supposed to go bad.
Yeah.
So the fact that it can last that long, canned foods too. I mean, granted, right now they're telling us to stock up on these things in case whatever happens, but that's worst case scenario. So with all that's going on, make sure that you stay abreast. Make sure that you're in tune with your body, your wellness, what you're putting into it in all ways. Because right now this is just a wave that we have to ride based off decisions that the a vote that the nation made for us. So all we can do is do the best that we can for ourselves. Just be aware of what's going on, but taking care of you and yours.
What was the moment when you realized I could be doing more? Want to do?
So there were definitely phases. At 5 years, I was burnt out.
Mm.
At 5 years, I knew if I don't know that there's something else, I gotta find something else because this cannot be life. Um, At 5 years is when I decided to try other specialties in nursing. I started local travel in Georgia. So I would work like outside of Atlanta. Like I'd go down to Fayetteville or go up to Lawrenceville. And what happened was a charge nurse I was working with was a dean of a nursing school up here. Let your passion, let your determination go to work every day and let those things speak for itself. I was at the Pyxis, and for those that don't know, that's where we go get your meds from. And she was like, Shaniqua, she was like, do you want to teach? Now, remember, I told y'all the first
You
half when
want to
I
be
was
a
younger, I
teacher?
wanted to be a teacher.
Uh-huh.
So I'm pulling out my meds, and I'm like, God, you so funny. Like, so she was like, we really need a clinical instructor. And so at the time, um, I only had my bachelor's degree. So with your bachelor's, you can only instruct, you can't lecture. So I was like, sure, like it's nothing wrong with a little extra, money. But then again, God, you funny because this was my passion. Like this, oh, not my passion. This is what I wanted to do at first, but it turned into a passion during nursing because whenever like I say, let your determination, let how you work speak for itself. They saw how I educated my patients. They saw how I educated the families. I didn't mind taking on nursing students when they came because that is a part of your job when you're working full time at a hospital, even part time, PRN. We have to raise up our young. So when nursing students come for their rotation, they may ask you like, "Hey, do you mind having a student shadow you for the day?" Sure, come on. They saw that and then they asked me to be a preceptor. That's where you hold a nursing student towards the end of their graduate their years and you take them on for like a semester. And I did that happily. I didn't mind sharing the knowledge and showing the right way because there are so many nurses that, like I say, they're just there because it's a job. They're just there because it's the money. They don't really care. And they, excuse my language, they half-ass it. Sad and sorry to say, but there are some half-ass nurses out there. But I wanted to be the one to show the nurses the right way. At least they had the foundation because sometimes the half-ass nurses teach half-ass and now you have a quarter of a nurse because
Mhm.
she was only taught half and then it just gets less and less and less and now we're in this that could be a pandemic, an epidemic is nurses going, whole nother story. She asked me did I want to become a clinical instructor, so boom, that was one pivot. The other pivot was that was travel nursing. From travel nursing, it went to clinical instructing. As far as the wellness aspect, it started at FAM, but just growing, becoming a woman, like just noticing different things about my body, wanted to just learn more. That came from coming to Atlanta. I love Atlanta for its Black culture.
Mhm.
Like things that are here, never saw in Orlando, never saw in Tallahassee, like from the different events they have, from networking for your career, networking because you just want a Black network of girls, networking because you like reading what was the lady name, Zane books, like, just like anything, networking because you like tea, because you like yoga. There is something for everybody here. So when I moved up here, I got exposed to all of that. So I got exposed, saying that to say I got exposed to more wellness things about Black women, whether it was physical, mental, or spiritual. So though I would credit those areas to where my pivots came from, started for my career, but also for my personal life.
It's been, this year will make 5 years since I've been in Atlanta. And especially coming from Florida,
Mm.
especially coming from, well, Orlando wasn't too bad, but it's just not, it's not as many of us.
Yeah.
And being in a city where there's so many of us and we're not a monolith, right? So there are people, there are Black people who love anime and they get together because they love them some anime and they
Yeah.
love manga and they love like the comic books and stuff. Like, it's just so cool to be in a place where you can be around so many like multifaceted, talented, knowledgeable people. And the wellness part, absolutely. Since I've been
Yeah.
here, I've learned so much more about my body, how to take care of myself outside of just medicine, which I think is super important. And I love about the work that you do. The medical field, while it's absolutely necessary, I feel like from a health perspective, it pushes medication.
Mhm.
Taking on not necessarily like a full caregiver role for my dad, but just being more in tune with what he's going through. He's had doctors tell him like, our job is not to cure you. Our job is to, we treat, we don't cure, which is such an interesting perspective to take as a medical professional,
Yeah.
because why? But the medical field, like a rotating door. They want you to come back because that's how they make their money. Being here and learning about that holistic wellness and learning about curing your body from the inside out has been, honestly, for me, life changing. And I feel like I have a better fighting chance.
Yeah.
Stress is probably more so what's gonna get
Yeah.
me, but my health gonna be good though.
Stress, yeah, that's a big factor.
Yes, yes. So with that, I want to touch on some of the work that you're doing in yoga and mindfulness as well. So now you are a certified yoga instructor. How has that helped to shape your own personal journey as far as, how did you discover your love of yoga? And then how has that helped to shape what you're doing in the wellness field as someone who's coming in with that medical background too?
So for me in the personal realm, yoga has been transformational. That yoga started, I always did a little bit of yoga, didn't know it was yoga because I thought I was just stretching.
Mm.
But there are yoga poses that are in stretching. But during COVID, they had programs for minorities, free this, free that, free this. So I was able to get accepted into a program that was, they did free yoga certification if you were a minority. So I was like, you know what? I know how much yoga makes me feel better mentally, physically, spiritually, from 2 minutes in the morning when I wake up before I like get out of bed, do a stretch, go brush my teeth, go about my day, to me going to LA Fitness and doing a whole hour and 30 minutes of yoga. Like I get lost in it. So it has definitely helped me in those ways. And then rooted in that was where I was like, you know what? I want to share this with other people, specifically Black women. And my focus in the beginning was Black women. I was hectic to do that because I'm like, I don't, as far as starting a new business, like I don't want to, limit myself, but I knew that I needed to do this for Black women. So started off Dash of Sunshine. We had a yoga branch, but the goal was I want women to feel how I feel after doing yoga. If I woke up not in a good mood, 2 minutes of stretch, I feel better. There's a yoga pose for that. If I'm anxious, there's a yoga pose for that. If I'm mad, there's a yoga pose for that. I'm PMSing, bloated, there's a yoga pose for that. You're on your cycle, you got cramps, there is a yoga pose for that. You have high blood pressure, there is a yoga pose for that. There are also yoga poses you shouldn't do with high blood pressure. It was leg day, workout, yoga pose for that. You're an athlete. Yoga, like there's yoga for everything. Like there is yoga can help with everything. Depression, yoga for that. So it was just I have to spread this. Like I have to provide this for other people. And learning in my journey of yoga, learning that there's yoga for that, that's where I opened it to other people. So the gym I was at, the Fit Spot, that's where I had classes for Black women. I had just open classes. I would be there for pre and post workout. If they wanted to come in and get a good stretch in, was yoga, flexibility, and stretching. They could do that. But that's essentially how yoga has helped me, and the drive for me sharing it with other people, the community.
And yoga is absolutely fantastic, especially for like recovery from the gym. I love, there are absolutely certain poses that help. I used to suffer from back pain. Yoga was my saving grace when it came to that. So there are some, I think, since we are also touching on the fact that you really wanted to help Black women, I feel like, I don't know if you've heard some, but I've heard some like misconceptions about what yoga is and what it means, especially within the Black community, especially if we get more specific within like the Black religious community, right? Because I grew up hearing yoga was not something that you're supposed to do. Now that you're an instructor and you are specializing in Black women's wellness as well, have you faced some of those questions or concerns from people who are like, I don't know?
So interesting you said that. I have not faced those questions, but I think it's because the way I market my business, the way I market myself, the way I host my classes, the type of classes I have. I actually was just at hot yoga last week. For me, it went my vibe. It's hard. It's hard. But saying that to say there's yoga, there's a different type of yoga for everybody. But in that class, one of the participants was like, I thought you said you didn't know how to do yoga. I say, no, I never did hot yoga. But I just shared with her, like right now, I'm not hosting classes because I'm really, number one, imposter syndrome. But number two, I'm really trying to figure out when I start back, because I took a break while I was in grad school. But when I start back, how can I really start back for my people, the community? In the beginning, I did try the traditional yoga. But it wasn't for me. It wasn't for me. In the courses we had to take to become certified, they teach you the religious part of it because that's part of it so you can understand where it comes from. We did have to learn the Sanskrit terms, but once I completed my course, I knew like that's not the way I'm going to do yoga. I'm not going to impose this on my clients or the people that choose to come to my class because of the stereotypes. The stereotype that yoga is hard, the stereotype that yoga is religious, the stereotype that yoga is spiritual. It's spiritual, but in your own way. You make it what you want it to be. Also, too, I always say yoga is not hard. You meet yoga where you are. Don't look to your, and if you come to my class, don't look to your left, don't look to the right. If you don't want to, don't look in the mirror. Listen to your body. Go within. If you can only go so far, your body's telling you, that's it today, girl. You did a good job. Don't stress yourself because you push it more. Now you're doing the opposite of yoga. You're stressing out your body. So saying that to say, I think it's the way that I market yoga, the way that I show yoga, even when I'm doing it. When I post me doing yoga, the songs that I like a week ago, I think it was the Temptations. And then a couple days after, I think it was a song from Broward. Like it's not the yoga, it's not the traditional, and at the end of my class, I don't make people bring their hands together and pray and say namaste. I tell them, I say, in my class, we don't say namaste. We say all is well. Now, some people may say, "Oh, that comes from your old school Baptist." Okay, cool. But even if we don't take it to church, all is well because you just left it on the mat. So I think I haven't ran into those issues because I keep it real. I don't try to portray it as this. I don't try to impose on people. I tell them that you think you came for me, but I'm here for you.
Mhm.
So whatever you need to do in this time that is allotted for you here on this mat, you do it. This is your class. This is your time. I'm just here to facilitate, to provide instruction. And that's what I call myself, a yoga instructor. I don't say a teacher because I'm not teaching you anything. I'm instructing you and you're doing as much as you want or as little as you want. I've had some people come to class and just lay because they like my playlist or they just like the piece because my playlist, like you may have some Ari Lennox, some Lauryn Hill, you may have some Jagged Edge. You never know. Like it's just so yeah, I've never really ran into that because I'm not that type of, I don't make you I don't, granted that can be yoga for some people,
Mhm.
but that's just not how that's not sunshine, that's not Dasha sunshine.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing for me with my business is I want to break the stereotype that black people don't do yoga. Men don't do yoga. Or for women that say yoga hard, I can't get into that stretch. Girl, yes you can. And my mentor, he's at LA Fitness, Wesley. He's really good with that. Like people come to class and they weren't able to get into, they were able to get into, or he reminds you he's real funny. He's really big on splits. You was in that split last night. You could get in that split today. Like just making it funny like that. Like, you're doing yoga in other ways. You just don't think of it as yoga. I love me a good split. I like dance, and you know I like to dance. Some of that is yoga. That's a yogi squat. But I may be doing some South Florida dance. Girl, that's dancing yoga. Like,
It
you know.
is. It is. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's so
So yeah.
true. That's so true. And I feel like yoga, especially when I started doing it, um, you've been touching on like, taking care of your body, uh, overall wellness, like the way that you move is so important. People take it for granted, just the ability to bend over and pick something up off the floor
Mhm.
or to reach up like with the full span of your arm and
Yeah, range
touch
of motion,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, people take it for granted until you don't have the ability to do it anymore. And
Right.
as you age, or even, I mean, in this, the way people are eating and drinking and carrying on now, you don't even
Mhm.
have to wait that long. You will
Right.
start to lose your mobility. And once you stop moving, everything else goes downhill. Like movement
Mhm.
is life. So even with something like yoga, if you're doing it simply to just stay limber so that you still have the ability to pick your kids up or your grandkids up later in life, it's just things that people don't think about. But it's truly, truly important as an athlete, like you were saying, like athletes need to be able to move and move quickly. You don't
Yes.
want to injure yourself when you're out there, playing the game. So something like yoga is extremely important for someone like me that had herniated discs in my back and bulging discs that cause a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
sciatic pain. Doing yoga, and that's when I discovered like it's yoga specifically for sciatic pain. So I
Mhm.
think stuff like yoga that gives you that release is so important for people to do. Some people like Pilates, some people like other types of stretching, but
Right.
yeah, I know for a fact that yoga is such a great practice. And you don't see a lot of Black people in it. So that's where I'm going to go back to what you said earlier about imposter syndrome. So
Mhm.
anybody who listens to this podcast knows how I feel about imposter syndrome. I've talked about it before. We are not imposters. An imposter is a trickster. That's the literal definition of imposter.
Yeah.
Someone who gets something by trick or fraud or deceit. You have not gotten anywhere that you are without working for it. And as a Black person, as a Black woman, how are we raised? You got to work twice as hard to get half as much. So by the
Yeah.
time you walk into the room, you're already overqualified to stand in that spot because you've had to work so much harder to just get like the dues, right?
Yeah.
So to say that like this is a service that and we do this. Our minds are sometimes our greatest enemies. Um, we tell ourselves we don't belong in a space for various reasons, but you do belong in that space. You have multiple accolades and multiple titles that you hold that not only verify that you belong there, but that you have the knowledge to do what it is that you're doing. And then there's also a need, especially within our community. We just talked about um, how what we put in our body affects us. Yoga, when you are in the practice of yoga, is more than just stretches. They also talk about that too. Your diet, your overall movement, even down to like what you're taking in through your eyes and your ears, what you're listening to, what you're watching, that all goes into it. You have built a company that's based on overall wellness, and the yoga part is just one part of it. So who is more qualified than you to stand up there and teach us how to be a part of this practice in a place like Atlanta that is one of the only surviving kind of Black meccas, and with our community that is always overlooked and put at the bottom of the totem pole. This is something that we need, especially moving forward over the next few years, to continue to build community with each other. So not only do you have everything that it takes, the knowledge that it takes, but there's an absolute need there for what you offer in that space. And I know there's like trap yoga, there's R&B yoga, there's gospel yoga.
Gospel yoga.
Yeah, like there's anything that you can think of. And I love that you even take it from that perspective too, because it opens up the doors for us in a space that you don't like. Every time you think of a yoga instructor, you think of one of these people. You know, you don't think of someone who looks like you and likes the same things that you like. You don't think of that. So to see ourselves represented in a space where you barely ever see us, I think is super duper duper important. So I just want to encourage you to, you know, if you have to take the time to kind of step back and reframe and rethink how you're going to do it, I encourage you to do that. But I would love to see you back in that space and back in that element, because we really, really need it. And
Thank you, Dan.
you have everything that you need to be successful at it.
I'm over here breathing in my little, trying not to tear up, but I needed that. Thank you. And that it is so important, because even as I go to yoga classes and Pilates classes with the athletic club I'm a part of, it's like, you know, y'all flock to their classes, but when I host one, it's like, okay, so like, what's the difference? Like, you know, it makes you sit back and think. And then also too, they not shaped like us. We got extra, you know, it's some modifications. Like, it's some modifications that's needed. Like, you say let your spine roll to the floor, baby. Some Black women, it's too much cushion to bring the spine to the, you know. So it's like, you know, in those spaces, I've seen women uncomfortable, Black women uncomfortable, because it's like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
You know, so, but yes, I'm going to take that call to action, and I'm going to gonna put it on my goal board that's in front of me, and I'm going to come back out there for us.
Let's talk about the doshe.
Okay.
What inspired you to find or found doshe, and what is the doshe about? What does it offer? What do you seek to give the community through your company?
Okay. So the doshe is Dash of Sunshine Holistic Experience. I wanted to say funny, then I wanted to say crazy. But ironically enough, the doshe did not start off as what it is. The doshe started off as a whipped shea butter business. That's it. It was just whipped shea butter. Again, me being in Atlanta, being exposed to different things, I learned about lotions and the toxins that were in lotions. And I'm like, I'm putting this on my body every day. Like, and like, it may not be anything going on right now, but it's building up. So I decided to find a vendor for shea butter, and I started to make my own for myself. And then my friends would come over, they would use it, or I'll have it out in my little tube that I had, and they'd like it, like, oh, it's not greasy, I moisturize all day. And then I had one for the summer that I put a little shimmer in. And at that point, my friends was like, girl, sell it. Sell it. So I made my own logo. I printed my own labels, got some jars off Amazon, and I did vendor markets here in Atlanta, because, you know, Atlanta is good for, like today, good vendor markets pop up. So that's how I started doing the footwork. Made my own flyers, printed them at Office Depot, and that's how it started. So it was just Dash of Sunshine at the time. Then, in that research of lotions, learned about candles. Not to put them out there. I'm not gonna say no names, but y'all know who I'm talking about because y'all go and y'all get that big bag every time they have a big sale. But y'all, some people always say like, I get a headache. I was one of those people that got headaches when the candle burned, but I ain't care because my house smelled good. It smelled good for me cleaning, and then my boyfriend came over. It smelled good. It set the mood, like, but I didn't care about the headache and not putting two and two together that the headache was coming only when the candle was lit. That's toxins, baby. So learned that. So I was like, I'm gonna learn how to make candles. Start making my own candles. Same thing. You gotta have a good circle. You gotta have good friends. Friends would come over. They smell good. Where you get that candle from? The kitchen. I made it. So then my friends again was like, you need to sell it. I'll buy it. So I sent a couple testers to them, like how long is the candle lasting? Is it staying lit? Got some feedback. Hosted a scent and like a scent party on scents that they liked the most and added them to the inventory. Then came yoga. So I was like, oh, at that time I was ready to like pivot, and I'm like, do I keep it Dash of Sunshine or like what do I do? Like, so at the time it was just DOSH, the dosh. Um, so that was yoga. I incorporated yoga. I was working in LA at the time doing a COVID assignment, and then I was like, I want to do something into like wellness as far as physically for the body. That's how I got into body sculpting. I found a class out there. I was like, before I leave LA on this assignment, I'm going to drive to Timbuktu, somewhere in California. I got a rental car, drove over there, took the class, came back, flew back, and then I opened Sweet Silhouette Body Spa. So I'm like, I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, I've been out of business for a while. I have all these things that I want to bring to my community, to the people, to Black women. I wanted to rebrand. And then that's where the E came, because now it's an experience.
Yeah.
It's like a one-stop shop. I don't do shea butters anymore, but you have your candles. Candles is and they're non-toxin. I make sure that I vet my ingredients in the candles, soy wax, but really what it is where the fragrance oils come from. I vet that. So they're non-toxins, non-toxic, but you have your candles. Candles is wellness. If I know a lot of women like just seeing a candle light, say at night when you're walking around, or even the smell, like you just feel good.
Yes.
You use your candle in your bubble bath, like that enhances the experience. It enhances the experience between you and your person that you're dating or that you're married to. For men, not that we would be surprised, but the first time I did go for the people sale with the big bag, I was like, these men got up at this time to come buy candles. They love them some mahogany teak wood, baby.
Right.
And then me being the person that I am, outspoken, don't mind. I'm like, what? You getting these for your girl? And I was low key flirting, but I was like, you getting this for your girl? He was like, no. He was like, these candles just set in the mood. Then I was like, you know what? He ain't one I'm supposed to talk to anyway, because he be learning with these candles. But no, like, men love candles too. Everybody loves candles. You go get your nails done. There's a little candle right there at the cash register to make you like, oh, what's that? You forget and you do 20% tip instead of 10 or 15. You know, it's just you go to dinner. There's a candle in the middle of the table. Like, candles they create an experience. Then you have yoga, which is also a part of wellness experience. And then I was doing the body sculpting and post-op care for girls that got surgery for body enhancements. Doing that. So I was like, the rebrand, I was like, this is a whole thing, Sunshine. Like you gotta come back big. So that's where the doshe came from. The Dash of Sunshine holistic experience. Just a whole, you can really come for for anything. At a time I was doing nutrition consulting, just bringing the nursing into it. Not like dietitian type things, but as much as I could within my scope. And then there was a company that I was an ambassador for with supplements, nutrition supplements. I put that into the package. Like, hey, if you really into this about your wellness, let's incorporate this. And like, as far as energy wise, because a lot of us, for women, I'm anemic, low iron, energy low, especially around cycle time. It's like, don't touch me, don't bother me. I just want to be in here, just to myself. I don't want to get out the bed. But with those supplements, like, you got your energy back. I was able, and it also helps with lean muscle and workouts. Like I was like, hey, when you come to yoga, you could put, take your supplement, put your DFT on, so it just really became a big, it's an experience. And I'm ready to get back. I took a break because of grad school. I'm ready to get back, been navigating that, but also your push from a couple minutes ago. Thank you for the push, because I'm ready now. I'm ready, and I'm gonna get this notebook and I'm gonna start jotting.
Listen, listen.
Yes. And so that's the doshe. That's what it is. That's how it grew. It grew.
So first of all, I did not know about the shea butter, because
Okay.
if I had known about the shea butter, I would actually been buying that, because I love going to the oil bar. The oil
hmm
bar
hmm
is one of my favorite places to go, and I've discovered shea butter when I moved here as well. It was just bad. I didn't even think or know about the toxins in lotion. I
Yeah.
just found that shea butter was just better anyways with moisture,
hmm
especially for melanated skin.
Yeah.
But what I can testify to is them candles. When I bought, because I remember when you launched and you had the launch party, and I got a
Mhm.
candle, and I was so mad when that thing went out. And I think you stopped making the fragrance because Tierra told me it stopped making it. I said, no, she didn't bring that back, because that
We
was
need
my
to find
favorite.
out what it was so
I
I
can't.
can
Oh,
name it.
I need to remember. I gotta ask her again. But it was so good, and I too
Thank
was one of the
you.
people at the store with the big
Uh-huh.
bags and
Yeah.
my annual sales. I was there. Two big candle companies, okay?
hmm
And I didn't get headaches, but you could just tell like the quality was different. You
hmm
know, after a
hmm
while, you
hmm
burn some of them and it doesn't smell the same. They don't burn
hmm
evenly. With your candle, it was literally one of my favorite scents. And I'm old school. I love cleaning my house and having it smell like bleach, as I know is a little toxic.
Yeah.
And then you just light your candle, and it just make you feel so
That's
grown, like the
that bleach and
aunties.
Fabuloso. That's that Caribbean side of us. 'Cause
Yes. I felt like such an auntie, but that's like one of my favorite things to do is have a
Yeah.
fresh, clean house, and I light a candle and I drink me a little glass of something. And that was
Yeah.
my favorite. I burnt that thing down to like it had a burn mark. I was trying to get the last little bit of the candle. It was so
We
good.
gotta find it. We gotta find it so I can
Yes.
bring it back. Yes.
Yes, but that's why I was like, I could definitely testify to that. But yeah, I
Thank
think that whenever you're ready, because sometimes we need to take breaks, life happens,
you.
and owning your own business is not for the faint of heart. It is
Ooh,
not.
honey,
There's
honey.
really, really high moments, really, really low moments, definitely moments when you doubt yourself.
Yeah.
But I do think that having that village, that support system, people that can speak life into you and can see the potential. Sometimes when you're in those really low moments, it's super duper duper important. But like I said, here on Redefine Radio, we imposter syndrome is it's not a thing. We don't believe in that. We don't call that on ourselves because we're not imposters. We have worked way too hard to stand in that room and be told that we don't belong there. But you wear a lot of hats. So I'm interested. You still have your nursing degree, you still have your license, you have your own business, and you also are serving the community. How do
hmm
you balance all of these different hats and still find time for your own internal wellness?
Um, funny you asked because this week included, I had a plan for this week and it did not work. Like I was exhausted this week. But a planner, a planner, a planner. My project chick planner.
Mm,
A planner. I use my calendar. My friends know. If you tell me, please confirm that it's on the calendar.
mhm,
Because if it's not, I won't remember. I won't be there. I won't text you. I won't call you. I'm at that point in life where, and not even just due to all that I have going on, it's really for your mental well being. It's a lot going on in the world,
yeah.
which in turn makes a lot go on in our world for ourselves. So definitely organization. Saying no. It's okay to say no. That I am a reformed people pleaser. Thank God for therapy. But I couldn't say no to people. I felt bad. Like, are they gonna be mad at me? Are they gonna still like me? Are they gonna invite me again? they always come to my stuff, you know, but sometimes you just don't have it in you. You have it's okay to say no. And if they really care about you, they'll be okay with it. They'll understand. And no without an explanation. Like you don't have to explain why. Just say no. Being organized, planners. I have a notebook for everything. I wish I could be like, you know, back in school we had that big binder with the sections, and you this tall, but your binder this big in your backpack. I wish I could use that, but my the way my brain works now, I need a notebook for everything.
Yeah.
But that's kind of how balance. Like, okay, you know, if I have a community service event this week, I know that I need to do something for me because serving the community, I love it. But at the end, when you are exposed to the realities of the world, and like you say, sometimes we take things for granted or take advantage for things, that's mentally exhausting. I just had two back-to-back community service events, one last night and the night before, and I was exhausted last night. I really was, because it's just, you know, it's just like, what more can I do? Like, goodness, like people are really out here, you know, and then you hear what's happening at the big house, and you know what they're trying to take, like they're not trying to help these people, you know. So balance, you know, we have to work, we need income, but I take time in between after work, and whenever I start whatever else, I take an hour for myself, whether I'm just sitting down, whether it's a power nap, whether I go wash dishes or start a load of clothes, just something that doesn't require brain function. And then I get started with whatever I have on my plate. But really balance, and definitely making sure that you carve out time for yourself. And definitely, if I cannot read my Bible, I definitely use my Bible app to just read that verse in the morning, just to make sure that I have some God in my day every day. And if I can't, if I forget, or like I wake up late and I'm unable to read that verse, while I'm getting ready, is gospel music, or you know, something to just uplift my spirit for me to remember where the source of all of this comes from.
So, what's one affirmation or mantra that you use to keep you grounded in those moments when it feels like life is just moving too fast?
What's for me is for me. What's for me will find me. What's for me doesn't miss me. Yeah. And it really resonated and took me back to you and the candle. um how can you light if you deplete yourself? Like you were trying to get that candle to stay lit, but it was gone. So you have to make sure that you you have to make sure that you reserve your energy.
Yeah.
And then even deeper, being a Chandler, if people don't know, candle maker. Our instructions is don't let a candle stay lit for more than 3 to 4 hours, because you can change when we get into the biology of it, you can change the the scent, like the wick, like the scent decreases the longer you let it. So you are supposed to take breaks, light it for 3 to 4 hours, blow it out, 3 to 4 hours, blow it out. So that's almost synonymous with life. Like, give a little bit, but reserve some for yourself. So that's the balance. And then once it's like your candle, once it's fully gone, you come back and you do some more, because there are going to be times where, you know, like me last night, like I just couldn't do nothing. But I woke up this morning, I did some things, I got myself back. Now it's like I'm a new candle, I'm a new light, I'm ready for the day, ready for the weekend, ready for Redefine Radio. Like I'm ready, you know, so yeah.
Thank you so much, Sunshine. Thank you so much
Welcome. You're
for
welcome.
sharing the space, sharing your story, sharing all of the gems for people to
Yes,
hear about just taking care of yourself, especially as you are moving and pivoting and dreaming new dreams. To also
yes.
remember that you are worth taking care of as well. So, for our
Thank
listeners, where can they connect with you? Where can they find you? Do you have social media? Do you have a website where they can connect?
Yes. So on Instagram, it's at the Doshe ATL, THEDOSHEATL. And the website is www.thedoshe.com, THEDOSHE. So those are two places you can find me. I do, like I said, right now I'm mobile. Springtime, I'm in Piedmont Park. I'm up here in Cobb at Taylor Bronner Park. I do parties, I do corporate yoga. So if your business, like for Mental Health Awareness Month, I did yoga for a law firm. I did yoga at a hospital. I do birthdays, I do girls' nights. If you're at a gym and they need yoga, recently I just applied to do yoga for an apartment complex. So really I'm trying to reach the masses. So if you need yoga in any aspect and you are in, or even one-on-one couples yoga, and you're in the Atlanta area, I travel, I'm available. You can also find the candles on the website. The website is also the one-stop shop. You can find the candles. You can put in a request for yoga and I'll reach back out to you. And then once I open the body spa back up, that will also be on there as well.
So on the website or some candles. Say
Yes.
less.
Yes, yes, yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Shaniqua, for
Yes.
joining us. You guys make sure that you stay connected with the podcast. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at DaniLyn_redefined. Of course, you can find Redefine Radio anywhere that you get your podcast, streaming on Apple, Google, iHeartRadio, and on YouTube. So until the next episode, stay safe.